in Washington, D.C. 3 years ago. We're very honored to bequeath to you the HerStory Award from the Women's Federation for World Peace USA and recognize you, Dr. Marilou G. Tablang-Jimenez, on this day, September 3rd, 2022. We honor your exemplary work to recognize and provide psychiatric help for those in need, based on your journey of overcoming unimaginable challenges yourself. We applaud your service to your community, filled with love and compassion, and so much more. So congratulations, Dr. Jimenez. We look forward to hear your story.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Gloria's story is quite fascinating and quite different from mine. My story is not as dramatic as hers, for sure. I grew up feeling special, being the youngest of 13 kids, unlike Gloria. So I did not expect the hardship of life later on. So I actually prepared something here, so I'm just going to read it up. And I'm the youngest, like I said, of 13 children, and I grew up privileged, surrounded by loving parents and loving siblings. My travels started in 1986 during the People's Power Revolution in the Philippines. I was already married for 4 years to my college sweetheart, Jimenez, a graduate of our country's military academy. He was then a naval officer and working in the presidential palace. The People's Power took place a few weeks from my medical school graduation, and I had to leave the Philippines with our daughter very quickly soon after that because of the country's political and economic instability. I wasn't ready to leave, but we had to go. My husband could not join us because of the military chaos until about 3 to 4 months later. We did not know it then that the next 3 to 4 years of our arrival in the U.S. were going to be the most difficult years of our lives. Neither my husband nor I had a job, and we did not have a home for our small family waiting for us. Fortunately, several of my siblings resided in the area and housed us until we found employment. Slowly, we built our life back to our new normalcy. My husband worked 3 jobs, and I had one. With our very meager income and some help from my mother, we were able to purchase our first home, which is a 2-bedroom condo. I set aside my goal to find a residency program to complete my medical training, as I had to help my husband financially so we could provide for ourselves and our then 3-year-old daughter, Cinta. About a year into our immigration, we were blessed with another daughter, Jo, and we had to make a decision of whether to stay in this country or go back to the Philippines, which had relatively stabilized. As you most probably know, when you're in your country and you have all the family members around you and help is very cheap, it's so much easier to raise a child. Unlike here in the U.S., where childcare is very, very expensive. And so we chose to stay because of the unique opportunities the U.S. provided its citizens and the constancy of its government, unlike our country of origin. My husband and I focused on establishing financial independence for the first 5 years of our immigration to the U.S., and that flew by swiftly. On our second year, he established a business and we bought our second home for our growing family. Although financially struggling, we considered ourselves lucky as we had a roof over our heads, food on the table, and love abounded in our home. Once we had all our basic needs met, we borrowed $10,000 to finance my medical licensure, class review for several exams so I could practice in the U.S. I passed all of them and was getting ready to apply for residency when I found out I was pregnant with our 3rd child, Andrew. I delayed entering the training program once again for another year. My youngest was 1 year old and 4 months when I finally got started with residency, which was 7 years after my graduation from med school. There was hardship only because there was not enough time. At that point, finances were fine, but hardship continues because there was not enough time to spend with my young family. So we made do with our circumstances. The whole family visited me often in the hospital while I was working, and there were times we all slept in one tiny bed just so we could be together. And with a blink of an eye, I was done training about 5 years later. I work hard not just for myself, but for them and my family of origin. I took advantage of the opportunities presented to me, knowing that my loved ones would always be there for me, fail or succeed. My religious faith provided me strength. In the end, all these experiences enriched me personally and professionally. So I was asked to take a look inside and see what I can share with you all that helped me succeed. So I believe my personal story speaks of three traits that help me. One is resilience, the ability to just be flexible and adapt to what's going on in your life. And I think that shows in my story. The second is perseverance, not allowing bumps on the road to get in the way. Ride it over and just continue working hard. And the third is faith in God, my husband, and our partnership, faith in my loving family, especially my children, Cinta, Joey, Andrew. And now I have my 3 beautiful grandchildren, Chloe, Francis, and Enzo. And an additional definite plus to our family is my son-in-law, Nick. I have sisters and brothers who were there for me. I have to especially mention Linda because it was she who said, don't waste your talent. Go on and pursue what you were trained to do. And of course, my supportive friends, Grace and I have been together for a while. We both came from the Lagos region, which is where majority of very smart people live. That's a joke, of course. But and I have a lot of very good friends who are there for me whenever I need them. So life is good. Life is interesting. Life can be very difficult. I always thought that it would pass, that the hardship would pass. And as long as I'm resilient, I have perseverance and I have faith. Thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. Dr. Jimenez, what a beautiful story. I remember resilience, flexibility, perseverance, and faith. Wonderful points to remember anytime you're going through some challenges. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful sharing. Really appreciate that. Awesome. So we're going now to our next person, and that is such a wonderful, wonderful experience here. Just being here, listening to